What up? This is Robert Horry.
Horry, three-pointer. Buries it.
You might know me as Big Shot Bob.
To Horry for three. Oh, unbelievable. This guy is off the charts.
What's going on, Big Shot Bob?
Robert Horry from downtown.
All right. Sorry, got to get three of them. Can't just do two. It's the Big Shot Bob podcast. Welcome back, Dog Brandon Harper. My name is Rob Jenners. That is seven-time NBA champion Robert Horry from downtown. Man, we are in the thick of it. We got so much stuff going on. Where do you want to start, Mr. Horry? I put Pop at the top.
Let's start with Pop.
Just because,
let's start with El Jefe.
And that was so good. That's so good. He comes out, he takes the shirt off, and you can tell, God bless him, you can tell he's still struggling. Like, I think it was his left arm. I think Tim had to help him get the jacket off, but he takes the jacket off at the press conference. I'm no longer coach. I'm now El Jefe. So good. He's got the shirt on. This is El Jefe.
That's so funny.
He's going to take over now as president of basketball operations for the San Antonio Spurs. He steps down as the head coach, which I think we kind of thought was going to happen. Mitch Johnson, the assistant, looks like he's going to be taking over as the next head coach. I'm going to give you the numbers real quick before we talk about Pop's legacy. 1,422 regular season wins, an NBA record. 170 playoff wins, third all-time. 22 consecutive playoff appearances, an NBA record. 5-time NBA champion. 3-time NBA Coach of the Year. Olympic gold medalist. And Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer. So, I mean, arguably one of the greatest coaching careers ever in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, end of an era.
One of the smartest coaching moves ever. We drafting Tim Duncan? I'll take the job.
I'm gonna ride that pony.
So that's big ups to Tim for carrying Pop, and big ups to Pop for carrying Tim. You've heard so many stories come out from different players and different guys talking about Pop. So it's just good to see that he realizing that health is more important than coaching, even though he's going to have a good team next year. It's just, let's just sit back and watch it from afar. You're still a part of the organization. You'll always be a part of the organization, because when you think Spurs, you think of Pop, then you probably think of Tim, then you think of David, then Manu. And so I'm happy to see him to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
how do you put a cap on what he did? I mean, he had one of those careers. It's just like, you're right. He had the right players. They bought into his system. He was firm, and I think you could speak to this firsthand experience. He was firm about his system. Yeah. You ran Pop's plays, you ran Pop's system, and not every guy was able to adapt to that.
True.
I think there was a lot of people that probably fought that. I remember we had Richard Jefferson on, and he was on, and they were talking about him and Channing, and they were talking about Channing turned the game on like 5 minutes in, and they were like, Richard, I thought you were starting tonight. And he's like, I did. I missed the rotation. Pop took me out first play of the game. It's my favorite story. Just because it's like, that's a pretty good summation of Pop. You know what I mean? Like, you run the play, you run the system.
Yeah, It is a system. And I remember plenty of times where I'm not a system player. I'm a reader. And when you read something and they're looking at you like, it makes you look like the dumbass because you're not running the system like it's supposed to. So it was hard to adjust, but, it worked for him. You had system players. You had to, if you really think about it, Tim was the most basic player ever. So he wasn't fancy at all, and Pop's system wasn't fancy at all. So those two fit perfect together.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a guy who, when you start looking at a lot of the players that he had, they weren't so physically gifted as they were guys who just had, really high basketball IQs. And he accumulated a lot of those guys. I know, one of the most gifted athletes he had was, Kawhi. But he didn't if I'm not, I don't think he had a ton of those, but he acquired guys and had guys who had high basketball IQs and knew how to play together and knew how to make the smart play. And, at the end of the day, that's really what you need. You need guys who are not going to be selfish, guys who are going to want to make the right play, and guys who have a high basketball IQ. And he had some of those guys more than some other guys who may have won more championships than he did. Because they bought into his way. They bought into the culture that he set. And, the Spurs weren't a sexy franchise, but they were a franchise.
Never. Yeah.
Never have been, but they were a franchise that became respectable. And you had to realize, that's a small market team that has now become respectable because of taking on the identity of their head coach. Yeah. So big up to Pops and his new endeavor is El Jefe.
I love it. I do love it. Well, Rob, and I don't want to go on too long. I mean, we love Pop. We want to do him his justice and respect him. But what was it like playing for Rudy and then Phil and then going into Pop's system? It had to be just a bit of a lifestyle shock, a culture shock, a little bit.
Well, it was in the sense of that you had to go from being a guy who just play basketball freely, read the situation, and have the coaches trust your IQ. And with Pop, it was like, trust the system. And he'll trust your IQ to a certain extent, but it was all about the system. I know I tell the story all the time about when Michael Finley came to the Spurs. I was like, yo, you got to dumb your game down. What do you mean? I said, if you see a back door, don't do it. Just trust the process. And I know it's weird because when you say that, you always think of the 76ers, but it was true to form with the Spurs. You trust the process and, good things happen. Look, they won, 5 championships.
Yeah. No, I mean, and Harp's right. They were the quiet legacy.
Mm-hmm.
They were the one that was always like, oh, yeah, the Spurs are going to be there every year. Whether they win or not, but they're going to be in the mix every single year, and no one's going to talk about them. They're not going to be flashy, but they're going to be there. Whether you're ready for them or not, you're going to have to beat them. You got to go through There's a good 10, 11 years you had to go through San Antonio if you were getting anywhere.
Sure. Now it's going to be interesting, even though now he moves into, president of basketball operations. Obviously it's not something that's very taxing on his body, and it's allowing him to also, recover. I think the report is he's getting better day by day. What that position, entails. I guess we kind of know what a president of basketball operations looks like on average for most teams, but because of his health and because of things like that, what is, going to be required of him moving forward with this new role? That's just something that I kind of thought about, because obviously you still want him around and a part of that franchise, which he helped build. I just always thought, what would be the quote unquote requirement of him and what they were going to need from him.
I don't know.
I don't know if Rob had any idea.
Yeah, what if you're president of basketball operations, what's your day-to-day look like?
Well, I think when you have it depends on the system and the team. And I think for now, I think they're just putting him in that role. Wow. And it's not going to be a very taxing role, like you say. It's just going to be more of an advisory role. Because when you think about, you talk about the Lakers player of basketball operations, he never really comes around the team, but he has a lot of say-so on who they take in the draft and who they say, but he's very rarely around the team. He does a lot of stuff that has to do with, sponsors and things like that. So, what better person for the Spurs, because they're going to probably get a lot of sponsorships this year because they're going to be good. So who better to have them in charge of all that and then be a spokesperson than Pop? That's less, tax on his body, like saying he don't have to really say too much and just come there and show up and wave and get the hell out of there.
Yeah. I imagine he'll still probably have a hand in, knowing Pop, he's probably going to still watch a lot of film. He's still going to probably offer up, hey, you guys are doing this, you should be looking at this, you know what I mean? It's in his nature. I just think it's in his nature to do that. So, but congratulations on arguably one of the greatest coaching careers of all time to Pop. And you're right, Rob, it was the smart move. You know what I mean? Take care of yourself. And I think after whatever the incident was that happened a couple weeks ago when he was out to dinner, he probably just dawned on him, the light went off, and it was like, yeah, it's probably time. So, love that guy, though. Congratulations to him. All right, where do you want to go next? We could do Knicks, Boston. We could do Nuggets. We could do.
Let's start with the first team to walk in there with the Pacers. Let's start with the Pacers.
Okay. I didn't see that coming.
That was me either. And a lot of people like, they're panicking. Oh, the Cavs are in trouble. I tell people, you forget. We were off for like a week and a half, and the Sixers came in and spanked our butt in the first game, and then we waxed them the next four.
And Darius Garland was out too, wasn't he? When they didn't have Darius Garland for game one.
Yeah, and then sometimes I don't understand coaches. You get to a point where you 1 for 7 from 3, and you athletic enough to get to the fucking hole. And then you shoot 1 for 11 from 3. Dude, stop.
Yeah.
Like, Spider, what are you doing? Stop. Just go to the fucking hole. Nobody can guard you on that team. Get a bucket. But that's this day and age, They settle for the threes. They live by the threes, die by the threes.
Say you die by it too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think also that game was won and lost, or it was lost by the Cavs because they had one of their worst shooting nights.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
Probably of the entire season. I think the Pacers, if I remember correctly, had their second best shooting night of all season, or something like that. Something along
Indiana
those lines.
shot 19 for 36 from 3-point range, 52.8% from three.
Yeah. So
that's a crazy number.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. The question is, are the Pacers going to have to shoot 50% from 3 every single game to even give themselves, because it's not like they blew them out. They won by, it was what? They won by, was it 3?
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 points, something like that.
Yeah. So still a very close game, and you shot probably the best percentage from 3 you did all season as a team. And it took the Cavs to shoot the worst that they did as a team all season, and they still only lost by a few points. Yeah. That lets me know that Indiana is going to have to play damn near perfect every single game to not just have a chance, but to even win. Now, here's the thing with the Cavs. That Darius Garland injury is major. And you got to start thinking about this DeAndre Hunter injury. You saw that fall he took the other night.
Yeah.
I don't know what his status is going to be like. So you're losing key guys.
Do we know Garland's status? Where's he at? I thought he was just a game one. I'm not sure. I thought he was a game one scratch. I didn't know he was like out. Yeah.
I don't know. He could be coming back for game 2. I don't know the severity. I think it was a toe injury?
It's his toe. Yeah. And DeAndre Hunter is his thumb.
His thumb. I saw that fall that he took.
Yeah.
So
and the crazy part about it is Mobley's hurt too. His ankle he's listed as day to day. So that's 3 stars. Well, I won't call DeAndre Hunter, but he's equivalent as a starter. That's 3 starters right there that might not be able to play.
But they dropping like fruit flies, boy.
Oof.
But my thing is like, what's the severity of this injury? So many times these fucking trainers and these personal assistants, and they get in the way. If you can run down the court and if you like 75% healthy and you can still get the job done, why are you not playing? This is not the regular season. This is fucking playoff. I can understand, I can understand what the Celtics did when they held out JT the other day. You're going to win that series regardless. You know what I'm saying? But this dude, you in a series with the Pacers, and everybody sometimes downgrade the Pacers, as I do. But they fuck around and you look up, they got to win on you. And so.
Yeah. All right. So from head coach Kenny Atkinson, the toe's a tough one. There's pain, but it's a good thing is when we watch him shoot, he's moving very well right now. He was questionable for game 1, and he was downgraded to out. So I don't think this is going to be. I mean, depending upon how bad this toe is and if it hampers how he can move on the floor. But according to Atkinson, he's moving pretty well on it. So you got to hope that after you drop game 1, you're gonna muscle up and get out there and show out for game 2, or try do what you can and see what you're able to put out, because you can't drop another one if you're Cleveland. You don't want to go down 2-0 and then head back to Indiana. Like, nah, I'm good. You got to split this thing at home. But surprising for sure. I did not see. Part of me was like, I wonder if the Pacers are going to get swept. And obviously that didn't happen in game 1, but that was in the back of my mind the whole time I'm working. I'm like, man, you know what? I don't know. But it took, like Harp said, it took their best shooting night ever to just get a couple points of a win. Where do you want to go next? Knicks? You want to do?
Go Knicks.
Let's go Knicks.
Yeah.
The entire
Speaking
world
of
picked against.
bad shooting,
Yeah,
Exactly. I was
holy
ready to say that.
cow. So
And speaking of refusal to fucking go to the hole, JT.
the
Damn,
Celtics,
dude.
man, oh God, it was so bad. They had missed 45 3-pointers in that game. That's an NBA record. The previous record was 40. So they put up 5 more missed 3-pointers on them. 45 missed from beyond the arc. Terrible shooting. Terrible.
I don't know what the count was, but it was funny. JT did the same move 4 times or 3 to 4 times in a row, same results. And when you went to the hole, you got to the paint and you made a bucket. But then you went back to that bullshit 3. I'm like, these dudes nowadays,
Dude,
man, like, damn.
It's like an Achilles heel. They're like crippled to
bucket.
it. Yeah. It's wild. But yeah, they shot horribly.
yeah, even though they're a 3-point shooting team and they could knock them down, in the playoffs, this is about taking the most advantage of each shot. Because these buckets in the playoffs are worth more than what they're worth in the regular season. You can't just sit up there and settle for that many threes, knowing, dog, it's not a good night shooting after probably that 15th three. Like, bro,
No, we're gonna keep going,
well.
man. No, we're gonna keep hucking until we get one of them is gonna fall eventually, right?
No, because when JT is 1 of 10 and you got somebody else 2 of this and come on, bro.
Derek White was like 0 for 7 or something. It was just like everything fell apart, man.
I don't understand. It's basketball 101. I don't care how good of a 3-point shooting team you are. The concept of taking the ball to the basket to put pressure on the defense and draw a foul and get to the line. Mm-hmm. That's common sense in basketball. I don't care if you are a good shooting team. You're not. It's not. You're just not lost that you should be able to attack the basket. Get to the basket. And guess what? Guess what happens? You get fouled and you go to the line. And guess what? You get the other team in foul trouble.
No, it's funny. Derek White shot 16 threes. Tatum shot 15. Think about that. That's 31 threes from between 2 people. And the Knicks, I think they shot a total of 37 threes as a whole.
I think that's right. Yeah, something like that. It was absurdly off balance. However,
it was bad. Yeah. And then if you want to throw Jaylen Brown in there, he was 1 for 10 from 3. So your 3 big dogs are god awful from
terrible.
3.
The
funny part about this, those 3 have the ability to get to the rack. They have the ability to hit a mid-range, but they want to settle for threes. I just don't understand.
More and more I watch a lot of these guys settle for these shots, it's just the more and more, and I know this is going to sound redundant or sound, it's not breaking news, but the more and more you just continue to see the impact that Steph Curry has had on this game. Because it's like, whether guys want to admit it or not, until you start seeing Steph knock down these crazy threes and take these many threes, dudes weren't doing this. And so all of a sudden,
I think it's just not Steph. You got to throw Clay in the mix. I think it's the
true. Yeah.
Old Golden State era.
Splash Brothers idea.
When they won the championships, and I was like, dude, I people don't look at you got to take Golden State out of the mix.
Yeah.
And think about it. Nobody has won a championship without a dominant big. Anything, and even though Golden State, we talk about this all the time, they were a top 5 defensive team, even with them shooting those threes. But everybody else needs to stop, come up with their own identity, because this shooting threes, I know Celtics, we won a championship last year with not big shooting threes. And Jaylen Brown scored a lot more points in the paint than he did from the threes. That's why he got MVP and not you, Tatum. So that's what it boiled down to.
But again, to both of your points, when they're not falling, you have to pivot. Like, is that on the players? Is that on the coach? Like, somebody's got to be vocal enough to go, guys, we got to change up some strategy here.
I don't think these coaches nowadays are smart enough to pivot. You think about it. How many coaches do you see pivot from what they have? They don't have a second and third or game plan option. They just got one way. Oh, we're going to live and die by it. The only pivot they can do is change their starting lineup. Oh, let's just change our starting lineup.
Well, then you're going to die by it. If it's not working, how do you not, come on, that's common sense, man. How is it that's possible? How is it that NBA coaches don't know how to pivot off of their only game plan?
Because I think for them, it's like, okay, I got to cater to the player. If I don't cater to the player, I get fired.
You got to win. Who gives a shit if you cater to the player and you lose? You're getting fired anyway. Win a game.
But they don't think like that. They thinking about, I got to make sure the players like me.
That is crazy to me. That's where we are.
Just say this. I don't think I ever liked one of my coaches.
You're not supposed to, are you?
Until after I left.
Right, because
no,
then
I like you now because I got to fucking deal with you.
Right, and also you go, it's hindsight's 2020, right? You get to look back and go, man, I hated that then, but I get it now. It was like when my parents were hard on me when I was a teenager, and I was like, oh, they're jerks. And then I grow up and I'm like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? It's the same philosophy. I mean, you forget the NBA's full of kids. I mean, these are all 20-something-year-old kids playing basketball, but dude, at some point, you're the adult in the room. If you got to be the hard parent, sometimes you got to be the hard parent. You got to go, look, stop pulling up from this 3-point bullshit. It's not working tonight. We have to pivot. You got to get down in the paint. You got to pull up for the mid-range. You got to find a pivot to this. Because what we're doing right now ain't working. If you guys want to lose this game, fine. We could drop it. Let's go into New York down 2-0. See how that goes.
Yeah, I think the Celtics are smart enough as a team to make those changes in game 2. Should those changes have been made in game 1? Absolutely. Because you don't, like I said, by the 15-3, and you realize that, dang, bro, it's a cap on that basket. Like, we can't shoot a beach ball into the ocean right now. At some point in time, you got to think, hey, maybe we should start adjusting and applying some pressure. And the more pressure that we apply, maybe then we can start to work our way back outside. But I expect them to be smart enough, being the championship team that they are, to be smart enough in game 2, knowing, dog, we're not dropping 2 games at home.
No.
And I expect them to tie this series up and be smart when it comes to their shot attempts in game 2. I just expect it.
Yeah. But you know what? Let's do give credit to the Knicks too, because
Knicks played well, man.
OG played his ass off. He was killing, and think about how many minutes that Bridges had to play. Even though he didn't shoot the ball well, he played. He played fucking 51 minutes. Played great defense. And it's
Brunson made a few good plays. I mean, there were down the stretch specifically, But
my whole thing is, if I don't know who's Cat's mentor, but it's almost like Candace was laughing at me because after they went up, they had a moment there where I told Candace, watch Cat doing antics. He didn't even make the shot. Watch this, and I could see it coming. Cat was like doing something. And the dude rolled right down by Cat and made a layup. He just looked at him like, oh shit, because he was too busy doing antics. And I'm like, and that's what I tell Cat, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. You see so many teams now they're about showmanship instead of trying to win a damn game. Lock in. It ain't about trying to entertain the crowd and do all this kind of shit. So I'm like, dude, just fucking play the game. And there's little moments like that. I thought it was gonna come back to bite him in the ass because that 2 tied it up. But they went on to, knock down some shots and other things that happened in their favor. But it's little things like that guys don't understand. It's the details that mean so much in the game. And these guys now don't have great detail. Let me give it to Ant-Man. Even though he's a young guy, his attention to detail is fucking good. So watch out for them, man.
On the floor.
On the floor. And
I hate to keep and I hate to keep, because I know we're talking about basketball. It's just everything else has just been so glaring and so out there when it comes to stuff that pertaining to off the floor that sometimes we got to make this distinction at times. But on the floor as a 24-year-old, that's the thing about it. The man is 24.
Yeah.
There's not a thing that he cannot, even during the last series, people, if anybody wanted to get on Ant-Man about any aspect of his game, it might be the passing. But, I mean, he averaged over 6 assists in the last series. There's nothing that he really can't do on the floor. He's not scared of anybody. And you continue to see his game and his footwork continue to improve. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm rooting for the Wolves in this series.
I'm not.
I'm rooting for the Wolves.
Are you not rooting for the Wolves because they knocked the Lakers out?
No, hell no. No, I'm just
Oh.
not rooting for the Wolves.
I want to see.
I'm not rooting for Golden State either, but I'm just saying I'm not rooting for the Wolves.
I mean, I want to see Ant get closer. I want to see him in the finals.
Okay.
You know, to see what he looks like on that type of stage, him continue to elevate.
But I will say this. I would love to see the Denver-Minnesota matchup again. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Also, but the funniest thing that happened after Ant-Man took his stroll around Crypto.com arena.
Vegas in 5.
And he was like, Morris Chestnut was like, did I just catch a strike?
Yeah, I saw that too. He did repost that. Yeah.
He's like, I ain't even at the game. What the shit I got to do with this? Morris Chestnut dying in this one. That was funny. But I will give it to, that's the one thing about Ant-Man. He is entertaining. So, but yeah.
All right. Do you want to briefly touch, since we mentioned the Lakers? You want to briefly touch?
Nah.
All right. It's old news by now.
Yeah.
I'll just mention a few quick things. LeBron had the grade 2 MCL sprain coming out of Game 5. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. At 40 years old, he was still averaging 40.8 minutes per game in the postseason. That's freaking unbelievable, dude. That's wild.
Way too many.
And it's wild that he was able to do it. The only thing that stood out, too, that I saw this from Clutch Points was the Luka Doncic drop-off in the fourth. First quarter, averaging 9 points. Second quarter, 7. Third quarter, 7.3. Fourth quarter, he's down to 5 points. So everyone was like, was this a conditioning thing? Is this just I don't know. But
no, that's a lock-in thing.
Only thing that was weird about that.
Yeah.
But
I think what it is goes into lock-in. You don't do you start a game out with a game plan and you have a 4-quarter game plan. The smart coaches do, where you have the dominant player think he's good, and all of a sudden they don't have adjustments in the halftime where you can go in and draw things up. So you hit them with the second half, and I think you look at Minnesota, the way they played them in the second half was they totally did different things, to confuse them, and the Lakers aren't good at making adjustments. So
he looked very lost at times in that game, Luka.
You look at any Laker great, and you look at we know they were good offensively. We know what they could do offensively, but what you begin to see is defensively, there aren't too many Laker greats that were bad defensively. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about guys who are good, who put on the. I'm talking about your Luka wants to be known as a great, right? Luka wants to be known as one of the greatest ever. Everything he's done before 25. Well, you look at a lot of the greats that don those jerseys, they weren't bad defensively. Luka is being talked about as one of the worst superstar defenders of all time.
Yeah,
That is the drop off from your offensive game to your defensive play should not be that drastic if you're going to be a superstar. I'm sorry, and especially to wear that jersey. Hey man, you better get it fixed.
Especially if you're the future. You know what I mean? You're the future.
Do you think he will wear that jersey long, though? That's the question.
I don't know.
It depends. But see, here's the thing about Luka, and here's the thing about some superstars. And this is where the ego comes in. I understand that as a Lakers franchise, you have to want to woo him and want to get a commitment and want him to be here. I want him to be here. You want to see the Lakers franchise continue to move forward. But a lot of these superstars got to realize that a lot of the success, newsflash, is contingent upon you. That means you got to get better. That means that you have to change up some things. Too many times I saw Luka on the floor looking around for everybody else. Fool, we looking at you. You can't just be great on the offensive end and then turn around, you the nearest defender, and you don't do anything and somebody get an easy bucket. It's contingent upon you.
Here's the question. Would you give up Luka for Giannis?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
Because the Lakers are in win now mode.
Healthy Giannis?
I'm asking you, B. You ain't asked the question yet, B.
I answered it, yeah.
You will? Okay.
Let me tell you
Would
why.
you?
Yeah, in a second.
Okay.
And we know, and we both know why.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take away the offensive end. Cool. That defensive end of the ball?
Night and day.
Oh, brother.
Night and day.
Just how hard he plays each and every night. And that, for me, I don't give a shit about the free throws. I don't give a shit about you shooting, 3-pointers. But there ain't many dudes that can fucking dominate a game like he does. So, if I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm calling up the fucking Bucks. I'm like, yo, man, you want this guy right here? I'll swap with you.
He's all
right
yours.
Now.
He don't play no defense, but he's all yours.
Because you think about it, Giannis 30, so you get about 5 to 6 more years out of Giannis.
I got news for you. Giannis he does a great job physically keeping himself in shape.
Yeah.
Even when he's hurt, you see him come back strong pretty quickly. Doesn't tend to re-injure himself too often, so I think he's got a better. You know what I mean? Like physically wise, he's 30, great. I feel like there's probably a good another 7, 8 more quality years in Giannis.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But just envisioning this, and obviously with LeBron still being in the picture, do you know the type of lineups you could roll out having Giannis on that floor? Like, do you know the different variations of lineups that you could now, depending on what a trade looks like with Milwaukee, obviously, and what you have to attach, and what you're also getting back.
I don't think you get out of that without losing Luka Doncic. I mean, that's a given. Yeah.
No.
But you're talking about what else is attached.
I'm talking about what else. We know Luka. We get that. Yeah. But I don't know all the logistics to something like that. But to have
it's a swap for swap. They make the same amount of money.
I was going to say, they've got to be pretty close.
Yeah.
They've got to be pretty close.
I think so too. Yeah. I'm
maybe
just
Giannis makes a little bit more.
Maybe.
Yeah. Luka makes $43 million. Giannis makes $48 million.
Okay, so you'd have to package in probably one other player maybe to make it work?
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
You could throw in you can make the pie even sweeter. This is my boy, Dalton Connect, even though I think he worked well with Giannis. Okay, I gave you Dalton Connect too.
See, here's the thing.
We already tried to trade him. What are you talking about?
But see, I'm of the notion, like you said, Rob, I'm of the notion that at some point in time, you got to really see what you have in Dalton Connect, because you're not really giving him a shot.
They give him no shot.
You're not giving him a shot. And for a guy who needs that level of confidence, whose confidence is probably already shot a little bit because you tried to trade him and it didn't work out and it came back. So now he's looking at you like you're crazy.
It came back and he said,
"What's up, motherfuckers?"
That was what that clip was from.
I'm a firm believer, man. You got to give Westside Connect a shot to see what he looks like. You can't.
So if you have to bundle one other player in, then who are you bundling in?
I'm sending back Maxi Cleveland. Maxi, you and me. Go on with Luka. You came with Luka, leave with Luka. Go on back with him.
Package deal.
And what I think Giannis does is, and I think Luka does this as well, but I think we don't know how many more years LeBron has left, but I do think Giannis extends his career a little bit longer.
I think LeBron has one season left. That's my prediction.
But what if he gets Luka? I mean, what if he gets Giannis?
I really feel like he's at a point in his career where he doesn't have anything left to prove. He's going to go one more year. He gets the All-Star game in L.A. next season. He gets to have his big hometown send-off, and he calls it a career. That's my prediction. If he gets Giannis, maybe he debates scraping together another season beyond that. Maybe. But I think that's going to depend on how they play. Like, if they're kicking ass next season, okay, well, then maybe it's a little renewed energy for LeBron James. But otherwise, he ain't got nothing left to prove, man.
Yeah.
He's accomplished everything.
And if you did do that move, I'm saying, look, LeBron, we paying you 5 minutes a quarter. That's it. So that's 20 minutes a game.
You can start and then you can sit, and you can come in and clutch situation.
And as the year gets on, we'll ramp it up to 7 minutes. 7 minutes quarter. So when the playoff times roll around, you up to 8 minutes a quarter or whatnot. And everybody said, well, how's he gonna get a rhythm with the players? Like, shit, LeBron can fit in with anybody. So
LeBron's LeBron, man. He's gonna go out and ball no matter what. I mean, but you can't be playing 41 minutes a game in the postseason. 40 years old, bro.
But Rob, I'd seriously make that call.
I don't know if there's a team in the league that would say, nah, we're good when it came to Giannis. I think everybody wants Giannis, man.
Yeah, but everybody ain't got a piece like Luka to
This is true. Not everybody can make it work, but
not everybody can make that work, And when you have a piece like, look, we know how great Luka is, but I'm not looking at the offensive end. I'm looking at the defensive end. And that's where the Lakers struggle, because what I think with Giannis, what he does is not only can you can play the man at the 5. And as gifted as he is, the man runs the floor like a gazelle. You can play him at the 5 and y'all can keep rolling.
Hey, that's what I was going to say too. I said you solve your big problem with one final swoop, and you.
That's what Rob was talking about last week. Lincoln was talking about last week, man.
Yeah.
We need a big. We got to focus on getting a big. That's what he said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of leagues, teams in the league that could make it happen, but the ones that could wouldn't do it in a heartbeat.
Let's say you do keep Jackson Hayes. Having him and Giannis on the floor together, that's size.
I think that to me, that's just two people in the way, though.
You think so? Because Giannis can't play the perimeter.
I don't like Giannis shooting threes, though. That's the problem. But he can shoot. Who knows? He might improve.
What are you talking about, man? Have you watched the NBA? Everybody shoots threes. I see friggin' Nikola Jokic pulling up for threes, and I'm like, what are you doing?
That mug knocked down that big 3 to tie the game up.
I know he did, but still, I don't want him shooting threes. There's something about a big guy shooting threes that just irks the shit out of me.
Well, I don't mean solely from the standpoint of shooting threes.
I know,
but I do mean from the standpoint of being athletically gifted to be able to move around and not being so locked in.
Yeah, he's got a nice
paint.
mid-range game. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well. Look, you brought up the Timberwolves. Obviously, they're going to advance. The Warriors beat the Rockets again. Let's talk about that real quick. The Rockets have been eliminated by the Warriors 5 times in the last 10 years. The 2015 playoffs, Warriors win 4-1. 2016, Warriors win 4-1. 2018, Warriors win 4-3. 2019, 4-2. And then this year, 4-3. It's just, man, it's like the curse of the Warriors, man. Steph just loves to win in Houston, man. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. I hate to see the Rockets go down, though. I mean, they had a hell of a good season. They were scrappy. They fought back in that series. I think we all thought that was a done deal. They pushed it to 7. Did you make anything of the Van Vliet, Draymond Green elbow thing the other night? That was, I thought that was pretty intentional. When Draymond came across the face and just they were kind of joshing for the ball, and Draymond backed into it, just right in the face.
First of all, we all know Draymond does everything on purpose. So that's all. And
Jeff Van Gundy's on TV going, I don't think that was intentional. I'm like, what are you watching, dude? Like, what are you fucking doing, man?
NBA is, from being a player, all the little tricks and the dirty shit you can do. So we've talked about it plenty of times, and you got a bunch of nerds watching this shit. They don't know what the hell they talked about, who's never played the game. And if they did play the game, they didn't play it at a high level where it got physical like this and know what to do to try to get someone off their rocker, off their game. So, it's just, just is what it is when it comes to Draymond.
Always. When it came to this series, I did want to mention part of our new segment, which I believe I'm going to bring every week now, the Mad Max tweets of the week. So let's go to Mad Max before the start of Game 7. Quote, show me a straight Golden State fan, and I'll show you a Utah Jazz fan that owns a toothbrush. Bravo, sir.
Wait a minute. Wait. Read that one more time.
Show me a straight Golden State fan, and I'll show you a Utah Jazz fan that owns a toothbrush.
Dang.
I know, dude. He's cold, man. And then as they're getting ready to tip off Game 7, Mad Max, please, if the Rockets win tonight, I will dedicate my time this summer to teaching Utah Jazz fans how to read, write, brush their tooth, use deodorant, or whatever those goobers want. To which, after the Rockets lost, he retweeted and said, thank God. Oh, it's the Mad Max tweets of the week.
I want to know who's writing those for this.
I don't know, but dude, it's Vernon Maxwell 11 on Twitter is my favorite follow, dude.
I think he's
that's him.
writing him. That's him.
I mean, he's got a disdain for the Jazz.
Do you really think the word goober will come out of Vernon Maxwell's mouth?
I kind of do, actually. Oh God, brush their tooth is
come out of his mouth before I see goobers come out of his mouth.
Yeah, that's true. Brush their tooth is just savage. That is absolutely savage.
Hold on, that's what Charles said. That's why they call it the toothbrush.
Yep, the toothbrush.
But he was referring to your home state, Rob. He was talking about them women down there in Alabama.
Hey, he from the same place, so
I
he
was gonna
should.
say, what is he talking about? That's hometown bias right there, man. What are you talking about?
It is.
All right, so
Hey, let me just say this: my mom lived there, and she got all her Toofesses.
Toofesses. She got all her Toofesses. That's a good name for the show this week. She got all her Toofesses. Warriors, Timberwolves. Where are you guys leaning?
Timberwolves.
It's gonna be a good one.
I hope so. I hope it's a good series.
I think it's gonna be the Warriors. I think it's just gonna be a lot of Jimmy Butler. I want to see that Jimmy Butler Ant-Man matchup.
Ooh.
You know, that's gonna be a good one. Of course, we already know what happened with Gobert. Plus, I want to see how Gobert reacts. He's gonna be pissing on his leg when he faces Draymond, or he's gonna like bow up to Draymond. He's gonna run behind Naj Reid and say, "You get it," you know. So
Switch.
Yeah, so it's a lot of little matchups that I really like. I want this to go 7. I want it to go 7 because it's just gonna be really good. Yeah.
I think we're gonna have an Ant-Man Draymond interaction.
From the last time. You gonna foul me like that, man?
I think because both of them clearly ain't gonna back down. I think when you got two bullheaded guys like that, you got about 3 or 4 type guys like this in this series. And if you tell me that you can get out of this series unscathed without having any issue, I'd tell you you're a liar.
Yeah. So who do you think gonna win this series?
I'm taking Wolves in 7.
Oh, I was gonna go Wolves in 6.
I'm taking Wolves in 7. You know why? Because I guarantee that Draymond Green gets suspended for a game because he's already at 4 ticks.
Yeah.
He's already at 4. It might be 5. I don't know. I have to look. And so you can only get 7 in the playoffs before you suspended for a game. Think about it. He's only gone 1 series and he's already almost at his limit.
Look here.
So Draymond going to fuck around and get suspended for a game, and it's going to cost him because they cannot lose Draymond.
Here's my advice. When it comes to Draymond Green technical fouls, bet the over. Okay? Just bet the over.
Always.
Are you speaking from experience?
I am speaking from direct experience where I was like, 10? Yeah, I think he could probably hold it to 10 this season. He closed out with like 16 or 17. I was like,
hey.
He had 10 by Christmas.
And you know, if I was playing for Minnesota, I will fucking bait his ass every fucking game.
Get in his ear and just fucking needle him, man.
I'm like, yo, what's his name? Damon Vincenzo?
Oh, yeah, Damon Vincenzo?
Yeah, DV.
Yeah.
We already seen you could be a little dirty. You took out Luka, you took out LeBron. Your responsibility is to fuck with Draymond.
Getting Draymond's green, just get in his grill, man. Just get in his face and just needle his ass till he flips, till he pushes you or punches you, and then you take that one for the team.
And then like Rudy, elbowing one time because you don't get no text to show him that you mean business.
Yeah, man.
And that's really gonna irk him. So
I tell you what, forget about Irk and Draymond. Rudy Gobert has got to drop at least an elbow somewhere. He's got to put a little dominance into his game against Draymond Green.
Hey,
or
just do what Shaq used to do. Do that one spin with the elbow up. And,
yep.
Hey,
and if it inadvertently catches you,
exactly.
Shouldn't have been standing there. Pick up your chiclets. All right, let's talk about the last series. Last series on the board this week. Nuggets knock off the Clippers. James Harden in Game 7, yet again, a no-show. I did want to play Marcus Spears on ESPN because this was the perfect Game 7 James Harden analogy.
James Harden is like the dude that got a girl and he sets up nice scenes and he never proposes. They never gonna get married, okay? He's gonna date you. Y'all gonna stay together. People gonna say y'all a great looking couple, but he's never gonna marry you. That's what I compare these Game 7 to.
He's not wrong. Every time, man.
Hey.
I don't know what it is with James Harden in Game 7s, but he is just...
Well, I'll put it to you like this. Swagoo, look, he made that sound like James Harden's real life. They probably said it about his dating life too.
James Harden, this is your life. Yeah.
Non-committal.
Non-committal. He'll set up nice to you, but he ain't going to propose. Yeah, so he's lost game 7s on 4 different teams now. The Rockets, the Nets, the Sixers, and now the Clippers.
But Kobe said this back in 2019 when he sat down with T-Mac and they did their interview with ESPN. They asked him about James Harden, and he said James is a phenomenal player, but the way that he plays can't win a championship when it comes to the way that he plays. Like I said, Kobe said that then. And when we look how things have played out, I'm not saying everything is on him, but he's one of the guys on any team that he's on. And so he controls a lot. The way that he plays basketball is not good for winning a title.
Yeah. So obviously, Nuggets Thunder last night. Man, Aaron Gordon, just second time in the postseason, finds a way to get a huge bucket.
Yep.
And by the way, I'm gonna give credit to Jokic here. The inbound pass where they fouled Chet right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
OKC's up, I think 1. And they know they're going to have to foul on the inbound. Joker is guarding, and I don't remember who was inbounding the ball, but he's up there. He immediately turns around and he finds Shea, and he blocks that passing lane to Shea everywhere Shea goes. So they had to throw the ball to Chet, who missed both of those free throws. Because they know if Shea's getting that ball, Shea's probably going to knock both those shots down.
Yeah.
And then it's a 3-point game. Then we have to hit the 3 to even have a shot. So Jokic, credit to Jokic. That was a smart heads-up play on his part to turn around and do that.
I think that was very smart, but I'm going to back it up. This is what sometimes players get so confused about. What's the most important thing down at the end of the game? Time.
Yeah.
You remember when SGA had the backdoor and he dunked it?
Uh-huh.
Why not just dribble it to the corner and let more time run off the clock? And you can keep the ball, just keep the time because you scored so quick. They didn't put you up 4, it put you up 3.
Yeah.
And so now let's go back. Now,
with a good 12 seconds or something left on it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 9 seconds left to go, something.
Yeah.
But then let's back it up even more. So now the Denver inbounds the ball. You foul him in the back court with it was like you foul him so fucking fast that it's still more time on the clock. I know it's a free throw game and you have to try that, but dude, you only do that if you're down fouling that fast. And so I just think time management by OKC was awful. You know, I know he's a good coach, but you got to understand, you got to speak to your players. SGA, think about it. If SGA doesn't lay it out because Denver stop. You dribble to the corner. We don't know if 2-3 seconds tick off. And now Denver's out of timeouts too. Think about that.
Yeah.
They getting that ball up the court at the end for him to take that shot at the end. You don't have that much time.
You don't have the time to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the time. So I think time management was the worst thing in that game.
Good call.
Right.
Good call. Yeah, but Aaron Gordon finds a way to get it done. Russell Westbrook? He's been like a damn little spark plug for the Nuggets, man. Against the Clippers, and then obviously he's just been outstanding. I just have a number for you, real quick, on Westbrook. In the postseason, he's shooting 41.9%. He's out shooting Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, and Jalen Brunson. Yeah, he's out shooting all those guys in the playoffs from volume of shots. So if the defensive game plan is go ahead and let Russell shoot, it's burned you. It's burned you a few times. He's been a little spark plug. But I thought it was a class move, too, by the OKC fans to give him a standing O last night.
Yeah.
When he got into the game and they gave him the standing ovation, I thought that was class. That was a nice class. And I for him, and I'm not a huge Westbrook guy. Like, I've never been a Westbrook fan, per se. I thought that was a great moment for him. Like, that's cool. Like, so if you're Westbrook, soak that up, man. That's a good moment.
He's taking on the role that I think James Harden is going to have to take on at some point. A guy who is very talented, but at some point in time is going to have to realize that you don't need to be the face of the franchise anymore.
Yeah.
And you need to go be a pivotal piece somewhere that can help a title team kind of get over the top. because like I said, when it comes down to him being the man or being one of the guys like that, it ain't gonna work. It's just not gonna work, and we've seen it too many places and too many times where it just ain't gonna work.
Yep. All right.
So.
Well, anything else we got to cover? I think we covered pretty much everything.
That's about it.
That's it. But I mean, I think that all of these series, I'm hopeful, all of these series are going to be good because so far we've had 3 games out of the gate for the second round that have been outstanding, and a couple unexpected outcomes. So yeah, I think the second round should be good, man. Should be a good run here. Let's do a quick big shot of the week, and then we're going to play a game this week called Bounced. It's about teams that got bounced in honor of the Lakers. Big shot of the week is going to go to a woman named Tammy Conjure, a Pittsburgh area esthetician and a TikToker. Here's why. She was grabbing a bite with her son Leo at a place called the Eaton Park. She noticed her waitress, a woman named Betty, was struggling to get around. She overheard the 81-year-old confiding to another patron that she was suffering from chronic back pain. But she had to work because the $910 in monthly Social Security she gets wasn't enough to cover her bills. So Tammy did what most people would do. She just left her whatever tip she had in her wallet, which was like $40. But she gets on TikTok. She's got a little bit of a following. And she goes, hey, we want to help this lady retire? Let's start like a GoFundMe, help this lady retire. Within a day, she raised $110,000.
Damn.
To help this lady retire. 3 weeks later, she went back to the restaurant with a GoFundMe of $328,739 because people just picked it up and went viral and donated and stuff. So this poor woman got to put her hands up and take a walk off with a $328,000 because some lady just said, this ain't fair. She shouldn't be working at this age. So, look, if you have a little bit of a platform and you use it for good, big shot of the week. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, definitely big shot of the week because she could have been like, oh, we got 381. I'm going to give her this 281. Here's this 181, know,
exactly
and kept it for yourself. So,
no, she didn't.
Big ups to her for like looking out for an 81-year-old lady. So, yes.
I mean, just, and all she did was serve her. It wasn't anything crazy, but hey, man, if you got a little bit of an influence, a little bit of a platform, use it for good. Use it for good, for God's sake. All right. This week's game's called Bounced. No high-pressure stakes here. We're just going to go back and forth and see if you guys can guess this. If you don't get the answer, your opponent here can steal from you. So we'll start with Robert Horry. Only once in baseball history has a team come back from being behind 3-0 in a best-of-7 series. It was the Boston Red Sox who did it against what rival?
Yankees?
It was the New York Yankees. They came back from 3-0 to bounce the vaulted Yankees. Harper, the 2007 Mavericks, only lost 15 games in the regular season, but got bounced in the first round by what team?
Read that again.
The 2007 Dallas Mavericks, they only lost 15 games in the regular season, but they got bounced in the first round of the NBA playoffs by what team?
Was that the Warriors?
That was the Warriors.
That was the
Good
Baron
job.
Davis Warriors.
Yes, it was. Good job. Nicely done. All right, Rob. Shaq and Penny, a monster duo in the regular season, but got swept out of the 1994 playoffs. By what team?
1994?
Yeah, this was one of the years you guys went and won yourselves a title.
Yeah.
Shaq and Penny not there. They got swept in the first round by the Pacers. Very nice. Good job. Strong
Was that
pull.
okay.
Yeah, strong pull. All right, Harper.
I ain't gonna lie, I guessed.
No, it was a good guess, though. Shit, it was a really good guess. One of Rob's championship runs had a clear path after the 1994 Nuggets, a number 8 seed, came back from 0-2 to win the next 3 games in a row in a best-of-5. The last 2 of them they won in overtime, and they stunned the world and upset the number 1 team. Who was it? They only lost 19 games that year, by the way. The number 1 team in the West. Stunned by the Nuggets.
Oh, I know. I should.
In
I know this
1994,
one.
opened up a clear path for Rob's Rockets to go on a run.
The West.
I know Rob knows this because they did not want to play him.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Why does it slip my mind?
Damn. Oh, he doesn't have it.
I can't remember.
Rob, tell him.
Seattle Supersonics.
That's
Oh,
right.
Gary
Damn
Payton and
Supersonics,
Remember
man.
the Kimmy Gab, the last rebound, laid on the
and
floor.
it laid on
Yeah.
the floor just like,
Yeah.
LaFonso Ellis was killing.
Yeah, it was.
That was-
That's
and the
right.
last two games of the series went to overtime, which I didn't. I know the last one did. I didn't realize both 4 and 5 went to overtime.
I forgot about
Crazy
that.
series. All right, Rob. The 2001 Miami Heat were a better team than the team they were playing by a far significant margin. Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, Pat Riley. Yet they were completely dominated by what team?
Which team was this?
The 2001 Miami Heat got completely dominated by a mix of youth and experience. A team with Baron Davis, Jamal Mashburn, and P.J. Brown.
Oh, was that the P.J. Brown was on the Miami Heat then?
No.
you said it was a-
That was the team that beat the Miami Heat.
Oh, Knicks?
Oh, Harp.
You said Baron
knocked
Davis,
out-
who else?
The 2001 Miami Heat got knocked out by a team comprised of Baron Davis,
Oh,
Jamal
shit.
Mashburn, and P.J.
Damn it.
Brown.
I didn't hear that, Jamal.
This
I
ain't
didn't
the
hear
Hornets, is it?
It
Yeah,
is
it's
the
the Hornets.
Hornets.
Yeah, it's
I didn't hear the
Good
Byron
job.
Davis one. Once
It
you
is
said
the
Byron
Hornets,
Davis, I
yeah.
said the Hornets. Yeah.
They won the first two games by 26 points each and completed the sweep with a 15-point blowout in Game 3. And they were like, nobody had them in that series, man. All right, who are we on? Harper, here we go. The 2003 Chicago Cubs looked like they were going to be a team of destiny, break their huge 100-year championship curse, but it all fell apart when Steve Bartman, a fan, reached into the field of play, interfered with the ball, caused an error, and caused the whole game and then thus the series in the NLCS to fall apart against what team? Who did the Cubs lose to when the Steve Bartman game happened?
And I know Steve Bartman. I'm trying to remember the team because I remember the play. He's sitting up there looking goofy as hell.
I think it was Moises Alou or somebody was coming over to make a
Yes,
play.
it was.
Moises Alou.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and Bartman reached over with his little headset and his little Walkman on.
Was this the Expos?
No, it was not the Expos.
that's what
Robert
Expos.
Horry.
Were the Expos even around then in 03?
93? Or no, 2003.
Oh,
Yeah, no, the
03.
Expos were gone by 03.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were gone. I'm tripping.
no, they were gone by the 90s.
So this was the Cubs.
In the NLCS,
Oh, my bad.
2003,
Yeah.
they lost to a team that went on to win the whole thing that year.
Was it the Marlins?
It was the Miami Marlins.
Oh,
Yes, it
yeah.
was.
Okay.
Well, actually, it was the Florida Marlins.
Florida Marlins.
2003. They were
Was that
yet,
was that the one with Josh Beckett?
That was the Josh Beckett, Dontrell Willis team.
With Dontrell Willis.
Mike
okay.
Lowell. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was a good Marlins.
Yeah.
And then the Marlins friggin' went into the World Series and beat the Yankees 4-2.
Beat the Yankees. Yep.
Yeah, in the 2000, nobody saw
Yeah.
them coming.
Dang, I forgot it was the
They beat
Marlins.
Barry Bonds and the Giants, I think, too, in the in the opening series, the wild
That
card.
Marlins team was good.
They were crazy. All right, last question, Robert Horry. In 1995, Robert Horry's Houston Rockets entered the postseason as a number 6 seed. And while it's hard to call the defending champs underdogs, what 60-win team did you have to bounce out? You had,
60-win
you had
team?
to bounce a 60-win team to go on your second championship run in the West. Who was it?
That's a trick question.
Why?
Because
You were a
no,
6
it
seed.
was. Yeah, but I thought I know the Spurs had the best record in basketball. So, but I thought
I didn't say best record in basketball. I said a 60-win team.
Well, it was Utah, it was the Spurs, it was the Suns, and it was the Magic. All of those had 60 wins.
They all had 60 wins that year?
I think so.
Well, who did you have to bounce in the first round to move on?
The Utah Jazz.
There you go. It was the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I'm saying. I'm like,
trying
all those
to
teams-
see if you remembered who the hell you played.
Yeah, all those teams had 60 wins.
They all had 60 wins that year. I
Yeah,
remember the Spurs
uh-huh.
had like 65 or 66.
Yeah, but you
or
didn't
something.
play all them teams in the first round.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you said the first round?
Yeah, I said the first round. Who they bounced?
Oh,
in
I
the
thought you said what team that had 60 wins that we bounced. Oh, I didn't know you said
In the first round.
in the first round.
Yeah,
It
the
was-
first round was Utah, then the second round was the Suns, and the third round was David, and then it was swept Shaq.
That's crazy to have that many 60-win
Man,
teams.
that is wild.
Yeah, I
But it
think
is the
so.
West.
Yeah. And then the Magic had 60 wins that year?
I think so.
Really? I don't remember that.
Jesus, boy. It wasn't a whole lot of losing going on.
No, there wasn't.
What's up, motherfuckers?
That's what I said. All right.
That's a good little game.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I like that game.
Fun little stroll down memory lane there.
I can't believe I didn't get the I can't believe I didn't get the Marlins.
And you know what?
Now that I remember it.
The only reason I know that much too about that series is I worked that series because I used to work for the Marlins. In 2003, before I got my first full-time job in radio. So I had to quit working for the Marlins, and I had to start working at the radio station. And the Marlins won the World Series that year, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Because I would have got a ring as a member of the promotional staff.
Orlando only won 57 games that year.
Oh, see,
Sorry.
you're a friggin' liar. All right, you lose the whole game. That's it.
Spurs won 60. Spurs won 62 games.
62? That was it? I thought they won
Yeah.
more than that.
And the Suns won 59 games that
59,
year.
and then I think Utah was
Yeah.
like 61 or something, wasn't it?
Utah had won. They won 60.
60?
that
Just
year.
even
Mhm.
60. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But still, damn, that's a lot of teams to win almost 60 games that you had to beat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you had to play them in succession. That's
Exactly. On the road. Everything
on the
started
right.
on the road.
Yeah, that's right, because you came in as
and
the
we had
sixth seed.
Yeah, we had a whopping 47 wins that year.
Oh, wow. But you know what? It don't matter. Because
Yeah.
when you got to hit the buckets when they count.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you know what's
Shaq.
funny though? It's like we won 47 games that year. Look at this year, how many people won 47? We were the 6th seed. So it shows you that the parity is still there in the West.
Oh, the parity's always been there in the West.
Yeah.
I don't, and like the East is always the one that's like top heavy.
Yeah.
Where you get 2 or 3 teams that go up and win 55, 60 games, and then everybody else backs in with like 43 wins or some shit. There was a year the Hawks got in with like 37. It's like, oh god.